These are the 10 forgotten Betty Crocker Christmas breads nobody makes anymore, and each one opens a door back into the warm and glowing kitchens of mid-century America. For decades, these holiday breads shaped December mornings, family gatherings, and quiet winter nights, yet most of them have quietly faded from modern traditions. Before we move forward, it is important to understand what has truly been lost. These breads were more than recipes. They were symbols of comfort, gratitude, and togetherness during a season built on memory and meaning. Every loaf carried a story, and each story revealed how families celebrated, shared, and connected. In this video, we will rediscover 10 Christmas breads that once held a place on American tables, and by the end, you will understand why these recipes deserve a return to the holiday season. Each one has its own history, its own flavor, and its own emotional pull. Stay with this video, because every bread we uncover adds a new layer to the larger story of how America cooked, celebrated, and created holiday magic during a very different time. Every detail matters, and each recipe builds toward a fuller understanding of a culinary tradition that many people have forgotten but will instantly recognize in their hearts once again. Holiday nut bread begins our list because it once stood at the very center of American Christmas gifting. This loaf was simple, warm, and dependable, and it appeared in nearly every mid-century Betty Crocker booklet dedicated to the holiday season. For many families, it was the first recipe that marked the start of December baking, and the aroma alone announced that Christmas had officially arrived. At its core, holiday nut bread was a thoughtful blend of walnuts, golden raisins, and a lightly sweet batter that created a tender, comforting crumb. It was not designed to be fancy. It was designed to feel familiar, welcoming, and sincere. People wrapped these loaves in wax paper, tied them with red string, and carried them to neighbors, coworkers, and friends as a quiet expression of goodwill. What made this bread special was not the ingredient list. It was the ritual behind it. Children cracked walnuts at the kitchen table while parents mixed the batter in ceramic bowls that had been used every winter. The sound of the oven door closing, the glow of a small kitchen light, and the steady scent of toasted nuts all blended into one unmistakable moment of holiday peace. This bread also traveled well, which made it a favorite for church exchanges and workplace celebrations. The loaf held its shape, held its moisture, and held the memories of everyone who baked it. For many people, receiving one meant that someone had taken the time to think of them during the busiest season of the year. Rediscovering holiday nut bread is not about reviving an old recipe. It is about recognizing how a simple loaf once represented connection, generosity, and the softer side of Christmas in American homes. Cranberry spice bread was a vibrant presence on holiday tables throughout the 1950s and 1960s. Unlike the simple sweetness of other Christmas breads, this loaf brought a bright, tart flavor that contrasted perfectly with the cozy winter spices of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. It was a bread that smelled like Christmas morning before the decorations were even fully hung. The base of this bread was straightforward, a soft, lightly sweet batter dotted with fresh or dried cranberries. The spices were carefully measured, giving every slice warmth without overpowering the fruit. Often, the top of the loaf would be lightly sprinkled with sugar, creating a thin, glistening crust that hinted at the treasures inside. It was the kind of bread that made people pause and inhale deeply before cutting their first slice. Families treasured this recipe because it combined tradition with novelty. Cranberries were becoming widely available in mid-century America, and pairing them with familiar holiday spices allowed bakers to experiment without straying from the comforting tastes of home. Many households would prepare a double batch, saving one loaf for family gatherings and sending the other as a gift to friends or neighbors. What made cranberry spice bread unforgettable was the ritual of sharing it. Children often helped stir the batter, nudging cranberries into place while adults set the oven. The kitchen became a stage for storytelling, laughter, and quiet reflection, all anchored by the rich, spicy aroma that filled the house. Rediscovering this bread is not only about flavor but also about reliving the small, meaningful moments of holiday kitchens. Each slice tells a story of generosity, celebration, and the warmth that filled American homes during a season dedicated to togetherness. Cranberry spice bread reminds us that even the simplest recipes carry memories worth preserving. Pineapple Christmas bread brought a surprising tropical sweetness to mid-century American holiday tables. While most Christmas breads relied on warm spices and nuts, this loaf introduced the bright, juicy flavor of crushed pineapple, transforming a simple batter into something unexpectedly festive. It was a modern twist in an era that embraced both tradition and experimentation in holiday baking. The recipe combined tender, slightly sweet bread with pineapple chunks, often paired with a touch of shredded coconut or chopped nuts for texture. When baked, the loaves released a fragrant, fruity aroma that seemed to lighten even the heaviest winter days. It was a bread that made kitchens feel alive, as if the warmth of the oven and the brightness of the fruit were working together to lift spirits during long December nights. Families loved this bread because it was versatile. Some served it as part of breakfast on Christmas morning, sliced and lightly toasted with butter, while others presented it as a gift wrapped in wax paper and ribbons. Its unusual flavor made it stand out among more traditional holiday breads, and children often looked forward to this loaf above all others because it tasted sweet, fresh, and celebratory. Beyond taste, pineapple Christmas bread carried a cultural significance. In post-war America, canned pineapple had become widely available, representing innovation and the optimism of a new era. Including it in a holiday bread symbolized a willingness to blend old traditions with new flavors, creating memories that were both comforting and adventurous. Rediscovering pineapple Christmas bread is a reminder that Christmas baking was never limited to one style. Each loaf told a story of family, experimentation, and the simple joy of sharing something special. Today, it is more than a recipe, it is a bridge to the festive kitchens of the past, inviting modern bakers to taste the holiday spirit as it was once enjoyed. Molasses date loaf was a staple of mid-century holiday baking, treasured for its dense, rich texture and deep, comforting flavors. Unlike lighter, sweeter breads, this loaf carried the warmth of molasses and the natural sweetness of dates, creating a flavor profile that was both hearty and nostalgic. For many families, it was a winter favorite that anchored the season's baking traditions. The recipe was simple yet deliberate. Chopped dates were folded into a batter sweetened with molasses, sometimes accented with a touch of cinnamon or nutmeg. When baked, the loaf emerged dark and aromatic, filling kitchens with a scent that immediately evoked cozy evenings and holiday anticipation. Each slice was substantial, almost cake-like, and could be enjoyed plain, toasted with butter, or even served alongside a steaming cup of tea. What made molasses date loaf particularly memorable was its role in holiday rituals. Families often prepared it in advance, allowing the flavors to meld overnight, creating a bread that improved with time. Children watched the loaf rise in the oven, learning the patience and care that went into holiday baking. It was a bread that connected generations, passed down from grandmothers to parents and then to children, carrying with it a sense of continuity and tradition. This loaf also traveled well, making it a favorite for gifting. Wrapped in wax paper and tied with string, it could be sent to neighbors, church members, or distant relatives, a small but meaningful gesture of thoughtfulness during the busiest season of the year. Rediscovering molasses date loaf today is more than revisiting a recipe. It is a reminder of a slower, more intentional holiday time when flavor, texture, and care were inseparable. This bread embodies warmth, family, and the quiet joy of seasonal traditions that deserve to be remembered and savored once again. Maple walnut bread was a beloved centerpiece of mid-century Christmas tables, celebrated for its rich flavor and subtle sweetness. Unlike more common holiday loaves, this bread combined the natural warmth of toasted walnuts with the gentle, aromatic sweetness of maple syrup, creating a taste that was both comforting and elegant. For many families, it was a loaf that symbolized holiday care and thoughtful baking. The preparation was simple yet deliberate. Chopped walnuts were gently folded into a soft batter infused with maple syrup, often enhanced by a hint of cinnamon. When baked, the bread developed a golden crust that contrasted with its tender, moist interior. The aroma alone filled the kitchen, inviting everyone to gather around and sample a slice while it was still warm. It was a loaf that made ordinary December mornings feel special. Families treasured maple walnut bread for its versatility. It could be served alongside breakfast coffee, toasted with butter for an afternoon snack, or sliced and presented as part of a holiday brunch. Children were often allowed to help fold the nuts into the batter, creating small moments of participation that became lasting memories. For many, tasting this bread brought back the warmth of kitchens past, where family and tradition intertwined seamlessly. The bread also traveled well, making it a popular choice for gifts. Wrapped in waxed paper and tied with a ribbon, it became a gesture of connection and generosity, embodying the spirit of giving that defined the season. Rediscovering maple walnut bread is more than revisiting a recipe. It is a way to experience the care, warmth, and joy that shaped American holiday kitchens. Each slice tells a story of tradition, flavor, and the quiet celebration of togetherness that Christmas once inspired in homes across the country. Cherry almond tea bread was a festive favorite in mid-century American kitchens, cherished for its delicate balance of sweet cherries and fragrant almonds. Unlike heavier holiday loaves, this bread offered a lighter, elegant flavor that paired perfectly with afternoon tea or a quiet winter breakfast. For many families, it was a treat that symbolized both celebration and refinement during the holiday season. The recipe was simple yet thoughtful. Candied or dried cherries were folded into a soft, slightly sweet batter, complemented by almond extract and occasionally slivered almonds for added texture. When baked, the loaf developed a light golden crust, while the interior remained tender and moist. The aroma of toasted almonds and sweet cherries would fill kitchens, inviting family members to pause and savor the moment before slicing into the first piece. Families loved cherry almond tea bread for both its taste and its versatility. Some served it plain with tea, others toasted it lightly with butter, and many gifted loaves to neighbors or friends, wrapped carefully in wax paper and tied with a ribbon. It was a bread that brought people together, not just through its flavor, but through the act of sharing and the memories it created. Children often helped stir the cherries into the batter or sprinkle almonds on top, turning preparation into a family activity full of small joys and quiet anticipation. For many, this bread became synonymous with the comfort and charm of holiday kitchens, a reminder of the care and attention that went into seasonal baking. Rediscovering cherry almond tea bread is not simply about reviving a recipe. It is about reconnecting with the sensory joys of holiday traditions, aromas that linger, textures that delight, and the warmth of shared moments. Every slice carries the story of kitchens past, where family, flavor, and festive spirit combine to create memories worth preserving. Gingerbread nutloaf was a classic holiday staple, celebrated for its deep, warm spices and hearty texture. Unlike lighter, fruit-filled breads, this loaf offered a comforting, robust flavor that made it ideal for chilly December mornings. For many families, it was the kind of bread that anchored holiday baking traditions, filling kitchens with the unmistakable scent of Christmas. The recipe was straightforward yet purposeful. Ground ginger, cinnamon, and cloves were combined with a touch of molasses, creating a dark, fragrant batter. Chopped nuts, often walnuts or pecans, were folded in, adding both texture and richness. When baked, the loaf developed a firm but tender crumb, perfect for slicing and sharing with family or guests. The aroma alone seemed to announce that the holiday season had truly arrived. Families treasured this bread for both taste and ritual. Children helped measure spices or crack nuts, learning patience and the value of careful preparation. The kitchen would come alive with laughter, conversation, and the steady hum of ovens warming the home. Each loaf carried a sense of intention, a tangible reminder that baking during the holidays was about connection as much as flavor. Gingerbread nutloaf also made an ideal gift. Wrapped in waxed paper and tied with a ribbon, it could travel to neighbors, friends, or distant relatives, carrying warmth and care across towns. Its combination of spice and nuts created a memorable impression, ensuring that recipients remembered both the loaf and the baker. Rediscovering gingerbread nut loaf is more than bringing back a recipe. It is about returning to a time when holiday baking represented family, patience, and joy. Each slice tells a story of tradition, flavor, and the quiet magic that filled American kitchens every December. This loaf reminds us that the simplest ingredients can create lasting memories. Orange holiday bread was a bright and cheerful addition to mid-century American holiday kitchens. Unlike heavier or darker loaves, this bread brought a refreshing citrus note that cut through the richness of winter baking. For many families, it was a symbol of light and warmth during cold December mornings, adding both flavor and color to the holiday table. The recipe was simple yet precise. Freshly grated orange zest and a splash of orange juice were folded into a tender, lightly sweet batter. Some versions included chopped nuts or a subtle glaze, creating a delicate crunch and shine. When baked, the loaf released a fragrant citrus aroma that filled kitchens, inviting family members to pause and savor the moment before slicing the first piece. It was a bread that celebrated both taste and the sensory joy of the season. Families cherished orange holiday bread not just for its flavor but for the traditions it inspired. Children often helped zest oranges or stir the batter, transforming baking into a shared activity full of laughter and anticipation. Parents and grandparents passed down the recipe, ensuring that the citrus-scented loaf became a recurring highlight of holiday preparations. Every slice was a reminder of the care and attention invested in holiday kitchens, creating a sense of warmth and togetherness. The bread was also ideal for gifting. Wrapped in waxed paper or decorative tins, it traveled easily to neighbors, friends, or relatives, carrying the subtle sweetness and bright fragrance of the season. Its cheerful flavor made it stand out among more traditional holiday loaves, leaving a memorable impression on anyone who received it. Rediscovering orange holiday bread today is more than reviving a recipe. It is about reconnecting with the joy, aroma, and shared experiences of past holiday kitchens. Each slice tells a story of family, tradition, and the thoughtful simplicity that once defined Christmas baking in American homes. Caraway Christmas bread was a unique and aromatic addition to mid-century holiday kitchens, cherished for its subtle, slightly savory flavor. Unlike the sweeter, fruit-laden breads that dominated American Christmas tables, this loaf highlighted the delicate warmth of caraway seeds, creating a taste that was both distinctive and comforting. For many families, it represented a connection to European baking traditions brought to America by earlier generations. The recipe was straightforward yet intentional. A soft, slightly sweet dough was kneaded until tender, with caraway seeds evenly distributed throughout. Some versions included a touch of molasses or brown sugar to enhance depth of flavor. When baked, the loaf developed a golden crust and a soft, fragrant interior. The scent of toasted caraway seeds filled kitchens, inviting family members to gather and share a slice while the bread was still warm. Families valued this bread not only for its flavor but for the ritual of preparing it. Children often helped measure the seeds or shape the dough, participating in the quiet, deliberate work that turned baking into a family activity. The process itself became a lesson in patience, care, and the joy of creating something meaningful together. Each loaf carried the effort, attention, and love of the baker, making it more than just food, it was a memory in the making. Caraway Christmas bread also traveled well for gifting. Wrapped in wax paper or placed in tins, it made thoughtful presents for neighbors, friends, and relatives. Its slightly savory flavor distinguished it from other loaves, leaving a lasting impression on anyone who tasted it. Rediscovering Caraway Christmas bread is about more than reviving a recipe. It is about honoring family traditions, shared experiences, and the quiet artistry of holiday kitchens. Each slice tells a story of heritage, warmth, and the thoughtful simplicity that once defined American Christmas baking. Snowflake coconut bread was a festive highlight in mid-century American holiday kitchens, celebrated for its delicate sweetness and snowy appearance. Unlike darker, spiced loaves, this bread looked and tasted like a winter wonderland. Its tender crumb and coconut topping made it instantly recognizable, and for many families, it symbolized the magic and joy of Christmas morning. The recipe was simple but deliberate. A lightly sweet batter formed the base, often enriched with a touch of butter or milk for moisture. Shredded coconut was folded in or sprinkled on top, sometimes paired with a light glaze that created a shimmering, snow-like effect. When baked, the loaf produced a fragrant, slightly nutty aroma that filled kitchens with anticipation. Its bright, snowy appearance made it particularly appealing to children, who often helped sprinkle the coconut over the loaf before it went into the oven. Families treasured Snowflake coconut bread not only for its flavor but for its visual charm. It became a centerpiece on breakfast or dessert tables, and children eagerly watched for the first slice to reveal the soft, coconut-filled interior. The act of baking together, mixing, sprinkling, and sharing, created lasting holiday memories. The bread was often wrapped in wax paper or placed in decorative tins to be gifted to neighbors, friends, or relatives, spreading the festive spirit beyond the home. Snowflake coconut bread also served as a reminder that holiday baking could be both simple and magical. Its light sweetness contrasted beautifully with richer holiday desserts, offering variety and charm in every bite. Rediscovering this bread today is not only about reviving a recipe. It is about reconnecting with a holiday tradition that emphasized care, creativity, and togetherness. Each slice carries the warmth, joy, and beauty of Christmas kitchens from a bygone era, inviting modern bakers to bring the magic of the past back into their own celebrations.